second. Would you please do the roll call?
Hoffman.
Here.
Lahr.
Here.
Kuchenberg.
Here.
Swallow. Here. Bowman.
Yes.
Parsons.
Here.
Ferris.
Here. All right, we have a quorum. Now I have to read a whole lot. Okay, number 4, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at city council meetings will be approved by one vote of the council. Any member of the council desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on July 20th, 2026. B, approval of the minutes of the special meeting on July 30th, 2026. C, approval of claims in the amount of $160,848.09 and payroll expenses of $235,250.22. D, approval of ASAP invoice number 5645979 for $29,414.33. E, approval of 2027 apprentice hardware and or software maintenance master services agreement and 2027 annual maintenance invoices totaling $95,897. F, authorized distribution of OMAG City of Alva 2026-2027 escrow balance in the amount of $57,536.12 return to the City of Alva. G, approval of Oklahoma Municipal Retirement Fund application for retirement pension for Heather Bonham for partial lump sum payment from the City of Alva Retirement Plan. H, declare surplus and authorize the city business manager to liquidate a 1976 Chevy 2.5-ton truck with the following VIN number in your agenda. I, accept FAA grants AIG 3-40-0003-022-2026 and AIP 3-40-0003-023-2026 for $475,610 and $321,759 respectively, and authorize the mayor and city attorney to execute the grant agreements upon receipt from FAA. J, approval of the bid for the airport hangar construction projects to the lowest bidder, Column Construction, for the base bid, alternate 1 and alternate 2 in the amount of $1,628,294.42. And I ran out of them. All right. Is there any discussion?
Say, if anybody has any questions on the 2 items that have to do with the airport, I was going to cover that in the airport board report. Those are, like it says, mostly grant funded through the state of Oklahoma and the FAA. Did a good deal. It's not going to cost the city very much at all to have a couple good projects out there.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Hoffman. Please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Kuchenberg.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes. Ferris.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Motion passed. So due to the length of tonight's city council meeting, discussion with the city business manager, we are going to skip over reports from staff, but it is in your agenda, and if anybody has any specific questions on any of the committees, please feel free to ask and we'll cover that. Don't believe we have any. I do on the city mayor's report. I just need to say that Mr. Mike Hood has resigned from the Alva Arena Authority. He feels like his benefit to that authority at this point is no longer there in his expertise line, so I want to thank Mike Hood for his time on that and all his time and expertise. And also, Mr. John Liebner has resigned from the airport board, and I want to thank Mr. John Liebner for his time and expertise put into that, because the pay is absolutely nothing. So, all right, we will move on. Kelly, do you have anything to add?
I did get you my written report. If you have a chance to review it and have any questions, just reach out to me.
All right. Number 7, remarks and inquiries by citizens. Public comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Please be sure that you sign the paper and announce to us who you are, and the floor is open to anybody wishing to speak for 2 minutes. Don't be bashful.
This is about anything, or just like?
Yeah, really. It can be anything.
Just say that the council can address anything that's said during the 2-minute speech or anything like that.
Right. It's not a back and forth. You just have the ability to stand up, say your piece, and
Okay.
There won't be an opportunity to speak at any other point in the agenda.
Okay.
the floor is yours, sir.
Sir, I am Mason Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of Jade and Jeremy Cooper. We are here on agenda item 10, which is the kennel ordinance. I'm going to save you the time of having both of my clients come up and speak, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. So this, as council is aware, this is an ordinance that would apply to all the properties in the city regarding kennel regulations. We're not here opposed to the operation of kennels within Alva. We don't have any fundamental opposition to that use in general. However, our clients, this, as we understand, this ordinance, the impetus behind it was to allow, or is to allow, an existing kennel operation to continue at a piece of property that is directly adjacent to my clients. And so there's a specific and unique interest that my clients have in this ordinance that's being proposed. Just a quick history of the property. My client's grandfather operated a veterinary clinic on this property at issue back in the 60s and 70s. He had his house directly adjacent to it, which my clients now live in. They've lived in since 2018. At some point, the property and the operation was sold off. Veterinary continued, though, as part of that operation throughout the years. At some point, there was what I would call an accessory use of boarding or kenneling, which is fairly common for veterinary operations. I mean, I'm going to ask for a little bit more than 2 since I am representing multiple people. Is that all right? On the time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay, well,
By advice of our attorney.
if I have only 30 more seconds here, I think there's 3 reasons that this specific ordinance is illegal. Number 1, we think it is specifically a change to a zoning ordinance not being done through a zoning ordinance. Doing this in Chapter 6, we believe, is not permitted under state law in the way that it requires cities to enable zoning changes which specifically apply to setbacks and things like that. Secondly, we think it's an ordinance that is broadly applied to the entire city that's actually being utilized for a specific property. So,
10 seconds to finish.
and thirdly, we think that there's no comprehensive plan or other types of land use principles that are allowed here. And I do understand the timing, but I would object and request that we reserve more time.
I gave him 10 seconds because he asked the question about speaking for more, and I felt like he kind of gave up 10 seconds of his time in a question, so I wanted to give him 10 seconds to be fair, give him the full 2.
Mr. Cunningham, I would say this presents due process issues, I believe.
We have an option in our meeting to do 2 minutes, and we haven't given that option to anybody else, and that's all that's been posted is 2 minutes, so we got to stick within our.
Just to notify the council if I could, I did submit the letter along with the attachments. If the council is in possession of that, I'm not sure. Has it been received? Okay. They outlined some of the things I was hoping to say. Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody else?
I'll speak. My name's Kiara Johnson. I recently purchased the vet clinic, and I'm hoping to continue providing the same services that Dr. Street provided, except for vet care, of course, just boarding and grooming. I want to work with the neighbors and the city and follow any ordinances or any issues. I'd love to be able to address them through simple conversations. I know Dr. Hoffman spoke last time, and if this kennel isn't able to open, it's going to be Ridgeview is the only boarding facility in Alva, and they're already so busy. And it's just kind of putting a burden on an already busy practice if you make them the only boarding facility as well. And then it's just the business that goes outside of Alva. People have to leave the community to board their animals for family emergencies, vacations, doctor's appointments, anything. It's inconvenient.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Thompson.
I'm Steve Thompson. I'm here to support Kira in the pet spa. She takes care of our dog Moose, does a wonderful job with him. Certainly it's not his favorite activity to go to the groomer, but she has shown a tremendous amount of care and skill in taking care of him. Adding a little bit to what you said about Ridgeview, my daughter and son-in-law operate it, and their primary concern has to be taking care of sick animals. And so that leaves very limited amount of boarding space for them. And so having another facility that can have boarding is very important for the city. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just one question. Were our comments from the last meeting recorded?
Yes.
Hello. My name is Kendra Pennington, and I also am here in support of Kiara Johnson. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a dog anymore. But I think that it should be mentioned that Alva Vet Clinic has operated in this location for, to my understanding, over 60 years. And while the primary services might have been veterinary care, they have offered grooming and boarding services for several years. Kiara has not made any structural changes to the building. The amount of kennels that are available now are the same that were there when Alva Vet Clinic was running those kennels. That's what she intends to operate with. So what I would like to propose in the ordinances is to add a grandfather clause that would allow businesses that take over a business that's already been operating to continue the same or very similar services in that location. So while it's no longer a vet clinic, the grooming and the boarding, two of the three main services that were previously provided, are continuing. And so with not having any more major changes, I would like to have that wording included in there so it would protect people like Kiara that are trying to continue a business that Alva residents are already utilizing and want to have available to us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mrs. Cooper?
Am I just supposed to say my name?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm Jade Cooper, and I am the neighbor west of the property that's being considered for this ordinance to be changed. I am asking you guys not to pass this ordinance. An ordinance should be changed because there is simply a problem with the current rule, not simply because one problem doesn't meet the rule. So what problem with the current ordinance are you fixing for the entire city? Because the only problem is that a business cannot meet a 40-foot setback, then you are not fixing the problem. You are fixing one property's problem at the expense of the neighbors who this ordinance is supposed to protect. This is a new business, and I feel that people are failing to comprehend that this was a vet clinic as opposed to a commercial kennel, which is what it's trying to be. They are not one and the same. People are trying to make them, and they are not. The 40-foot setback is there to protect people who live next to a kennel. Now that protection is being reduced to 25 feet just to make this one property work. All sides need to be considered. If anyone came into this meeting with their mind already made up, then that is part of the problem. A fair process means hearing both sides and being willing to consider what you are hearing before making a decision. We have been told in different ways that we just need to deal with it. But have you guys put yourself in our position? If this was your home, your family, your property, would you still feel the same way? Because people are being asked to give up the protection are not the ones asking for the change. So here are some questions. Who else benefits from this change? If this business was not asking for a kennel license, would you be changing the ordinance? Why should the rules protecting residents be changed for one property? don't change the rules to make one location fit. An ordinance should serve this whole city, not a business. Please vote no. Thank you.
That was perfect timing, by the way. Anybody else?
I'm Cheryl White. I didn't know I was going to do this, but I guess I have a question because if nothing's changed between, except for the veterinary care, I have 4 dogs in the fight, okay? I will say that. And I don't know what I'd do. I'd have to drive an hour away. And I guess my question is, the people who live there I totally respect. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but it's been this way since 2018. So why all of a sudden is it a bad thing? I mean, did they not know that this was the situation? Did they not know that they were that close to this vet clinic? And I guess I just want to speak on behalf of dog owners and for Kiara, because I don't know. It's not just about one family. It's about all the people who own dogs and cats in our community, quite honestly, because like I said, Hoffman's is full. So, okay, thank you so much.
Anybody else? Going once. All right. Thank you all so much for standing up and saying your piece. I very much appreciate it. All right, let's move to number 8. Discussion and action to approve City of Alva fiscal year 2026 budget amendment resolutions. I'll read down through the letters, correct, on this? I'll read the A, B, C. Excuse me. A, Resolution 2026-015, which is the General Fund Budget Amendment. Resolution 2026-016, which is the Airport Budget Amendment. Resolution 2026-017, Street and Alley Budget Amendment. Resolution 2026-018, Cemetery Budget Amendment. Resolution 2026-019, Tourism Budget Amendment. Resolution 2026-020, Donation Fund Budget Amendment. And that is it. Read all of this. Okay, I'm going to back up and I'm going to read what number 8 says. Resolutions 2026-015 through 2026-020 may be approved by one vote of the council. Any member of the council desiring to discuss a budget amendment resolution may request that it be removed from item 8 and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The FY 2026 budget amendment resolutions consist of the consideration and action on the following items as I had previously read.
So I will, all right. So in that we, had quite a bit of discovery with regard to the financials throughout this year, and to be sure that we're in compliance with the Municipal Budget Act, we are putting forth these budget amendments to make sure that our budget accurately reflects the activities of the city during the course of the last fiscal year, which without these budget amendments, it would not. These amendments will go into place and they will affect last year's budget, not this year's budget. And then the amendments in there will be what is considered when the auditors audit our FY 26 financials. So this is probably more than we've seen for budget amendments in some time, but probably more errors that we found this year than we've seen in quite some time. So if you want to pull any of these out and discuss them individually, if you want to discuss all of them individually, we can do that. And I will tell you, they were prepared by Finance Director Beer along with our consultants from Crawford and Associates. So they will be ready to present to the auditors upon approval.
Any of the council wish to pull anything out? If not, I would accept a motion in a second.
I would motion to approve item 8A through F as stated in the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Parsons and a second by Mr. Bowman. Would you please call the vote?
Parsons?
Yes.
Shorter?
Yes.
Ferris?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Rubenberg?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Holman?
Yes.
Motion has passed. So we skip over 9, Chris. All right. Number 10, discussion and action regarding ordinance 2026-006, an ordinance of the City of Alva, Oklahoma, City Council amending Article 2, Chapter 6, Kennels of Alva Code of Ordinances. Do I need to read the under?
No, I mean, you can give some context, but I would go ahead.
Yes, okay. Planning Commission members unanimously voted to send this amended ordinance for City Council consideration during their meeting on July 23rd. At that meeting, there was a public hearing which multiple members of the community expressed various support for amending the ordinance. While one person expressed opposition, there was also feedback demonstrating the current shortage of boarding facilities in Alva. For this reason, an emergency clause may be appropriate. The City Council may approve this amended ordinance as presented, further amend the ordinance prior to approval, or vote not to amend the ordinance. Management recommends approval of the ordinance as presented and declaring an emergency.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
You may.
I don't know that, so my recommendation on declaring the emergency is an administrative recommendation. I would like for our legal counsel to weigh in on whether that meets the grounds for.
I think it would probably be a tough sell as an emergency, so I would not recommend approving as an emergency.
Any further discussion?
We'll say if someone is wanting to approve this tonight, but with amendments, they must state exactly what section and what language they want amended, so that the motion has to be very specific. If you're requesting to change it, if you were going to do a motion to approve, but with amendments to what's been already written.
We are able to make those changes live if necessary.
If you guys are discussing things, it needs to be out loud for the record.
Drew, is there anything that prohibits people speaking on particular agenda items?
We didn't have anything in the agenda about public comments, so that's where we run into an issue, because if someone had known there was going to be a public comment component of this, they may have showed up to this meeting,
Okay.
so that's why we can't.
So if there is no discussion, I would
So-
accept a motion.
So we can't allow people to speak their piece on it necessarily
Because we didn't put it out to the public that there was.
So Joe, we did have a public hearing regarding this matter, which was
Yes.
highly attended, and there were,
makes
well, more people spoke at that meeting than spoke this evening. So by my understanding of our process is, when we're going to change an ordinance, the most steps that we are able to take is that we have a public hearing. We have, since this is regarding property use, it went through the Planning Commission. Planning Commission then considered it and has recommended it go to City Council, having heard all of those comments, and then
Now, I've received a letter from the attorney who spoke tonight and believes that this is not legal because a big argument being that this ordinance is not under our zoning ordinances. I don't believe it has to be. I've looked at about 6 to 8 different cities just quickly before today's meeting that all have ordinances on kennels set up similarly to that we have. So I mean, unless all those cities have also done something incorrectly, then those would not be proper ordinances there either. So I believe we can't. I don't see this as a zoning ordinance. I see this as a special regulation on a certain trade or industry that they still have to comply with zoning ordinances, but also have to comply with this.
How will the changing of this ordinance change anything at that business different than what it's been for the last 60 years, 50 years?
Councilman, I think the purpose of this ordinance is not to affect any single business. The reality is, upon examination of the existing kennel ordinance, there was insufficient insufficient definition of setbacks, as well as there were no distinctions between how a kennel is treated within a commercially zoned district versus a residentially zoned district. And so the purpose of this was to lend clarity to city officials when they go to enforce the ordinance, that they have a clear understanding of what the setback requirements are and where those are measured from and how it relates to adjacent properties or adjacent zoning districts. It wouldn't matter if there was a veterinary clinic in this location that's been brought up this evening or not. This zoning ordinance would apply to anybody that would want to do boarding of animals anywhere in our city, residential or commercial.
So in this case, what's going to change? What would change?
So the residential,
What is the 40-foot setback? Maybe I'm stupid and don't understand.
so the 40-foot setback is maintained in the amended ordinance in residentially zoned districts. It's common in cities to have different setback requirements within commercially zoned districts versus residentially zoned districts. And it's also common to have the property use weigh into what those setbacks require, whereas healthcare facilities and things of that nature would have different requirements than an adjacent property that was used as a retail store or a restaurant. And so this adds clarity to what our city, and this is where you guys either want to agree with it as it's written or make changes or whatever. This is what the staff had prepared based on looking at how varied other cities have done their ordinances, but also with respect to being able to enforce whatever is to become our ordinance once it's enacted.
Do you know of another city that has the 25-foot? 25-foot just seems...
There was another city that we looked at that was 20.
That was 20.
The range was very broad, and it was like some of them had 1,000-foot setbacks depending on, some of them had 20-foot setbacks depending on. We can't go back in time to determine what the original authors of this ordinance intended, but we suspected that the 40-foot setback was for residentially zoned districts, and that given that the majority of the rest of our ordinances allow commercial properties to construct right up to the property line, we figured there would be a different or lesser setback required for that. And that there was no consistency with the ordinances that we reviewed. Some of them were the same, some of them were the opposite, some of them were greater or lesser. So we tried to go with the spirit of what we felt may have been the original intent, along with the long-term property use for the city of Alva. Whereas we did define a commercially zoned district to have different setback requirements than a residentially zoned district. Those are we went from having 2 paragraphs that basically defined how we would enforce the ordinance to having clear understanding that, you know, if it were to be argued, we could tell what actions are taken either by property owners or the staff and know who, at least have a way of judging the appropriateness of the actions that were taken.
Any further questions from council? I would entertain a motion, if there is one to be had.
Confused on how to make a motion.
Oh. I
If
mean, you either,
you're-
based on what Drew was saying earlier.
Well, that's if you're wanting to approve but modify what's in front of you, then you have to specifically say what section you want modified and the exact language that you would want in there.
I don't know.
Gail, you're out of order.
Oh, sorry.
Like you're sitting next to it, I wouldn't say that.
Drew, if this was worded in a different manner and put out there, that would allow people who could potentially be affected by the change of this ordinance, they would have been able to speak on this.
This was presented at the public hearing.
I understand that, but if, we could have wrote this in a manner that allowed them to speak to council, correct?
Yep. I don't know about wrote it, I suppose it could.
I don't love that, I'll just be honest with you, I don't love that we gave anybody 2 minutes on it, I mean, and I get there's policies and procedures in place and
So what
You're
you're
talking
saying
about-
is that you thought it was fair to have the
I was
interaction
under
at
the
the
impression
planning
that they would
commission
have
meeting,
been, that
but
they were
not,
gonna be able
not
to
here. So
speak to council.
this should have been written as a discussion, public.
Yes.
You're talking
I
about the
think so.
agenda item.
Because how many council members were at that public hearing?
I'm not council.
I was out of town, but I didn't watch it.
I was gonna say, I was not able to make it there, so, and I did read the minutes and stuff, but that's my hang up here, and I apologize, would have shared that sooner if I would have realized that people can't speak on this item. I thought that was at mayor's discretion, but that's my bad.
So, can it be motioned as a tabling with a future special meeting?
I don't even know that you have to put, you can just table it. Decide if that's what you want to do moving forward. Unless they want to motion it that way to the task.
Well, for the benefit of everybody, I'm sure that Coopers would like to know what's going on probably as soon as possible. The Johnsons would deserve to know what's going on as soon as possible. So to put this off for a month would not be fair to either party affected. So what I'm saying is it an opportunity to table this and make a motion to do a special meeting with an interactive type audience as
And I know
Mr.
that's already
Parsons is
been, and I know
requesting?
that's already been done, and I fully understand that, but I just,
Well, this is the final determination party, so, I mean, it's up to the 7 of you
Well-
sitting around this
Hey,
table.
there's no problem. You can-
I'll make a
that's-
motion to table item 10.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have no second. So that motion failed. Do I announce that?
Yeah, well, you can just do it.
Okay, I still have the question. What is going to change for the neighbors, all of the neighbors?
This ordinance doesn't change, this ordinance changes
Well, I think
the existing, I don't know how they,
currently it's a 40-foot setback that's required for a kennel. And if it's, there's a range of so many animals, it's 25 feet.
oh, well, so currently there's a setback of 40 feet. There's no definition of where that setback is measured from. It's not defined whether it's measured from the front door, whether it's measured from the closest distance to the yard. It's not, there's no definition of where that 40 feet is measured from.
I'm not so concerned about the 40 feet. I want to know what's going to change for the neighborhood by this ordinance,
Well, this is,
different than what's been going on for the last 60 years.
so this is a commercially zoned district, which if there's a residential property in there, they're allowed to be there. But whenever our forefathers set up our zoning, it was designed that the Highway 64 corridor would be a commercially zoned district, intended for commercial business. The change is that the 40-foot still applies to residentially zoned districts, but depending on the number of animals, it goes from 25 to 50 and then there would have to be a special. I'll
Greg,
find it.
I think your question is better. I don't know that anybody on council can answer your question.
I don't think so either.
I think you have to speak with people who, I know this is a specific instance, but I think you have to speak to those people to find an answer out to that question. I don't know that anybody here can answer that question for you.
Well, I spoke to two, and I mean, that vet, that business has been there for as long as I was a little kid. And I'm not sure I can,
I guess that's what things asking is like, that vet has a backyard with a run. Are the dogs still gonna be in that same backyard and that same run, or is something changed to where the fence is getting pushed out or something like
Yeah,
that? Now
I
they're
guess that's what
closer
we're
to the
getting.
houses, that's what he's asking.
what makes
I have not looked at the specifics of that property. I looked at the enforceability of the ordinance that we had, and it was unenforceable because we didn't know where to measure from, and we didn't have any differences between commercially zoned districts and residentially zoned districts.
The big lawyer word is specificity. There was no specificity.
And I think, here's the thing. Your due diligence as a council, my opinion, is that when you set an ordinance, it is for the entire town for as long as this ordinance may be in effect. It is not based on the circumstances of one owner at one point in time. When we set this, it will be the code of ordinances for our city to be enforced throughout our city.
But right now, it's come up because of one.
So right now, you have heard comments and you have observed the public hearing of how it's going to affect certain individuals. Yes, it's important today, but it'll also be important in the future.
And I think there was no rules before, now we're making rules on what anyone in town's doing with the kennel.
I don't think that's uncommon, that it takes an issue coming up to see that, oh, hey, this ordinance has an issue that's, yes, affects this one case, but it does affect the city overall. So,
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-006 and an ordinance of the City of Alva, Oklahoma City Council amending Article 2, Chapter 6, Kennels of Alva Code of Ordinances as stated in the agenda.
Second.
Who seconded that, Mr. Hoffman? I have a motion by Mr. Bowman, a second by Mr. Hoffman. Would you please please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Rupenberg.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Parsons.
No.
Motion passed. Looks like the most intense one I've been through so far.
On that agenda item, there was the option to declare an emergency. No one's made a motion on that, and again, I would advise not declaring an emergency.
Well, we accept the motion to do that, but as city attorney expressed, it's probably not a good deal, so I'll give it a moment for somebody to wish to, and we'll pass over it. All right. Now, moving on to number 11. Discussion and action regarding ordinance 2026-007, an ordinance amending Chapter 18, Environment, Article 3, Weeds and Trash of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Alva, Oklahoma, by renaming Article 3, Abatement of Dilapidated Structures, Weeds and Trash Procedure, and Boarding and Securing, and amending Article 3 by replacing said article in its entirety with the immediate ordinance. Is there any questions? Any discussion?
Yeah, I don't think that we need a group to tell Adam to do his job. And that was in here. And then also, if we're doing more than what the state has recommended, I don't agree with that either.
I can tell you, so on two of those parts, there's a bit of a different procedure for weeds and trash. When we're talking about dilapidated structure, statutes require a hearing on that. It is not a requirement. You can have a hearing on it on weeds and trash, but that is not a requirement. And as council, this is normally an administrative action that you guys have, but you can delegate that. Currently, we just have, our ordinance just covers weeds and trash, and that has been delegated to our code inspector. City, I guess, code inspector, city inspector.
So you're saying, so, with the committee would be for dilapidated structures.
As currently written, it's over everything.
It's over
Weeds, trash, dilapidated structure.
They would also be looking at different ordinance changes, bringing those to city council with ordinance amendments as they see necessary.
I don't think committee needs to tell Adam to deal with weeds and trash.
I don't disagree on that. I do think that committees are a good way to bring input of the community into it, because there's going to be people out there that have expertise, opinions, thoughts that want to be involved with the city that may not choose to be on council or may not be able to be on council. So I am a big proponent of committees. I think the more citizen input that we could search out, the better. So I mean, I get the weeds and trash is a little much. Though.
I agree.
But yeah, I get it. But I'm not opposed to the committee, but I think weeds and trash most of the time is something that can be handled by staff and not necessarily even be a council issue.
Agreed.
Any further discussion?
For what it's worth, given that on dilapidated structures that already requires a hearing, I didn't have any issue in preparing this to provide that. That has a committee that oversees that. It was not my opinion that it should be over the weeds and trash. I think that could be left as currently written to your code inspector.
Right.
So can this item be approved as stated, or do we need to change it?
I wouldn't recommend it as stated because right as stated right now, this committee is over everything. So I'm going to guess that that'd be a very long motion to try to approve it tonight with those changes in there. I would recommend just tabling it and then
Making the changes and then coming
bringing
back
it back.
like that.
Now, I thought the committee was going to be set up for those that needed help, that were in trouble or lacked the resources to
That would be a part
take
of that.
care of it. It's still Adam's duty to decide you're out of compliance, and then homeowner, whoever, we match the statute up on that part of it, kind of what is currently written that says that any city officers or city employees can basically make a report about a yard or anything that has a lot of weeds and trash. And I think this is written in a way that Adams would be investigated, to say, yeah, I think you did it correct, and then he would, as currently written, bring it to that committee.
So, kind of my thoughts on it is, especially on the structure part, is this committee's in place to not at all, in any way, shape, or form, be a supervisory committee to Adam. That in no way, in any part, I just want to confirm that, because that is not, we do not need committees to supervise any individual staff member. That,
I think the way it's written right now, I would say there is somewhat of a supervisory position.
to me, I look at a committee to be maybe more as in like, hey, if Adam sends a ticket to somebody for something and they have a grievance, then they could go to that committee. To me, I feel like that might be a little bit more effective. I think if we start creating committees to supervise staff members, it could get messy real quick, and
Does the airport board not do that at Tyson to a point?
that's a board, and they do not, I mean,
True, it's a board,
not, I mean, so, and that's, to me, it's different because you're talking about a different, the airport has a different pool of finances. There's a lot more that goes into that than like a committee to some extent.
So part of this committee would contain a member of the Pastoral Alliance, so that, as it's been presented to me between the Methodist Church, Mr. Taylor, and the Baptist Church pastor, they have men's groups, and there are certain times where you have an individual with a distressed property that could be a great output for
I think that,
a church group to go in and help mediate that, take care of it.
and I think that's great. I just think it's I don't know, and that's, that's just my opinion. I don't like the idea of having
I think
committees supervising.
I like
staff
what
members.
Joe's talking about. Adam's come and told us 10 times that I can't do anything because no one told me what I can do or can't do or what I'm supposed to do. And now we're like, why don't we slap a committee on there, and everything he wants to do now has to be run through a committee, and then the committee's arguing over what it should be done. I think the committee should just be there for grievances, or if he has a property, he can send it their way and just say, hey, this property needs some financial assistance. If there's anything you can do, he can reach out to the property owner or something, but it's still at his discretion to do his job.
Adam, and you don't have to, but do you have any thoughts that you want to share on this as the subject matter expert? Do you feel
what you're saying?
Do you feel like if there was a committee of people supervising you, that would make your job a little more effective?
Yes.
Okay, that's that.
All right, just because I'll be able to make changes to this, are you wanting this committee still in place over dilapidated structures? Because right now, to consider a property dilapidated that's going to be torn down by the city, that decision comes through you guys.
Well, and I
You can't delegate.
my goal would be yes on that. So for this committee to work with those residents to find a solution that both parties can accept before it comes to council. That would be kind of my goal on it.
And the way, so it's written that way right now for dilapidated structures. So I may need to make some changes in there, but that's pretty much how it's written right now.
And I mean, in my opinion, if the committee has an issue with something staff is doing, no other than the expectation of a council member, they would share that with the city manager, it's his job.
The way I've written it is, you guys still have ultimate authority. If you don't agree with the decision this committee has made, you can overturn it. It can be, they have to be able to appeal it anytime you're giving authority to either him or this council, or to the committee. That has to be appealable up to you guys. So that's currently in there.
As far as being able to provide assistance, as a municipality, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're limited in what we can do as a municipality to assist one party over another party. But what we can do very easily is compile civic groups, church groups, other skilled individuals who have an interest in helping people in our community, and we can provide that to anybody that has a violation in the event that there's somebody on that list that can help them. But we are limited on
Yes.
we're limited on some of that discretion, because I've tried to give discretion to other people in the past, and my city attorney hasn't let me. So,
Not because they didn't want to.
Well, like I said, I don't, I don't know.
Now, I'll tell you, at those hearings that ultimately happened on the dilapidated structure, I know you guys as a council had some, it's not required that the city has to find it dilapidated at that hearing. They can say, I want to have another hearing on this, we're going to come back in 20 days and see what progress you've made, or things like that. So that is, I think when people hear that there's going to be a hearing on it, that, okay, there's going to be a decision this day, one way or the other, and that is not a requirement. You can say, hey, we want you to do A, B, and C, then we're going to come back in a month and see if you've done it.
I think it's important that we have property owner engagement, and this outlines a process for property owners to follow if they've been identified as being in violation. There's a process for property owners to follow. It follows state statute. And so I think ensuring that everybody's following the process is part of what the staff will do. But ultimately, the staff will identify the violations. The staff will ensure the process is followed. Staff can't make a property owner follow the process or come into compliance until the abatement is declared. But I think it gives guidance to both staff and property owners on how we deal with these issues. I agree with everything that was said about the committee structure and what Drew said. I don't disagree with having a committee for the dilapidated structures. I think it would just bog down the staff on.
Well, how I was looking at it, whenever the first discussion of the committee came up is, I am by far not necessarily qualified to look at a house and say, that house could be saved, or, I could look at, there's some properties we do that, no question, but there's those others that kind of like in a gray spot, maybe the roof's fine, maybe it's just, a few broken windows, so having, Mayor Mountain appoint people, which I would assume would be his intention, that probably have a little bit more experience and understanding on what it takes to.
So in answer to anybody that has the question, Rick Brown, local carpenter, has agreed to be one of the members of the committee in that respect of having very deep knowledge in carpentry and construction and such as that, so yes.
And the way this is written, because it's the city council's authority that's being given to this committee, it's subject to being filled back to you guys, but it would be nomination by the mayor, subject to approval by the council.
So we just need to potentially table this.
That would be my recommendation, because it sounds like there's changes that are wanted, and
I
I
can't
would
make a motion
recommend it
anyway.
as well. So yeah, I would table it, and I've got it on the computer, we just gotta make some changes to it.
Okay.
Got a question. Can we have Chief Miller speak on the subject, because I know he's been dealing with this for quite a while.
Got
Willing.
anything, Jack?
Probably one of the biggest clarification, I missed last meeting because I was gone. I want to be the supervisor over Adam. I want a definitive defined portion in this ordinance that says, when does it come to your committee?
When someone makes a grievance, I would say.
Well, that appeals process is in statute already. So when does it come to the committee?
So what you're saying is state law has it outlined on,
Yeah.
because I don't know.
So we give them, tell them it's dilapidated. They got 10 days. They got 30 days to appeal it. Then it comes before council. When does it go to that committee?
No, I think statute right now is you give them notice that there's supposed to be a hearing with, there's going to be a hearing, you have to give them at least 10 days notice. before
Right.
that. So it's going
Right.
to a hearing.
It's going to the
After that
hearing
initial
before
10
the
days.
council. Like you said, it can be tabled. No action has to be taken on it. when does this committee come into play?
Well, the hearing doesn't have to be with the council. The hearing can be with the committee.
Right, because you're delegating that authority to the committee. But I want to know when it goes to that committee.
10 days after, at least 10 days after they.
And then it comes to council for
It
consideration?
doesn't have to come to council unless they appeal it or council wants to hear that one.
Because, in my opinion, you're gonna drag this out forever. You're not doing the due diligence of the citizens of Alva. And it's just not dilapidated properties, because we got 100 of them that sat there for 30 years or more. I just want to know, when does it come?
Would you agree that Rick Brown has more, would be a better person to make the decision whether something is dilapidated than me? That's how I'm looking at it.
He's got a great carpentry business, does great work. He's not an engineer.
It's not hard to look at a house.
I hear what you're saying, but I
Especially with the price of materials now.
I mean, we got houses that are falling over, that's just sitting there, that's a life safety hazard, that we're not doing anything about.
Why
I
are,
mean,
why are we not doing anything about it?
I ask you, counsel, that question. Why are we not doing
I'm
that?
gonna throw it right back at you. You're standing in front of the guy that's supposed to be handling
Wait.
it. Why is it not being
We
handled?
bring it to you on a complaint basis, because we got plenty.
So does a complaint basis only not allow for people to pick on certain people? Why are we not picking?
That's
why-
not for me
As,
to
as,
determine.
as the mayor of this town, and beautification and economic growth in this town is something that I'm supposed to be responsible for. Why are our efforts not put at the most traveled areas of town, take care of that, and move our way out? We have a property 2 doors west of the Sonic. The weeds are hanging over in the street. Why has there not been something done about
I
that?
don't think there needs to be a report for it. if you
So
just
there's nothing in our code of ordinances that states that we will or won't adhere to the strict guidelines outlined in state statute. So we have to give a minimum of 10 days notice. We have to give a minimum of 30 days after this. We have to give these minimums. If they follow the strict minimums, they have met resistance at council in upholding those.
And Mr. Mayor, it's frustrating. I'm frustrated as a supervisor over this position because it seems like from the time that I was doing it until now, it seems like a broken record. It just keeps coming back. It's the same story, and nothing's getting done. And you can see on Alva's Ranch and Rays, people are unhappy with the way stuff looks. And granted, we don't have a lot of companies that want to come in, tear houses down, or a lot of companies to mow yards. Our staff's taxed, it taxes our equipment. You know, it's just a strain. And I guess with you being the governing body, I'm asking you, how do you want us to move forward? Give us direction, give us guidance, so we can make Alva better.
Well, I would like to see the efforts that you and Mr. Grimsley put at our most traveled corridors first where it makes the most sense.
That's what Adam.
If I can interject, if we can have an ordinance that addresses dilapidated structures, we can create a process for prioritizing properties based on the population density in their location, based on the frequency of travel through our main corridors, based on the number of complaints that are received, based on the acuity of the public safety risk. I mean, we can prepare that if we know that we have a process that the council will follow to take that and go with it.
But that has been left.
Because it has been left to their judgment, and their judgment has been overruled multiple times over and over and over again.
At what level?
Oh my gosh, they have tried to tear down houses. I'm not kidding.
We really have.
And it's not a matter of, they want to do their job and they want to do it well. But over the last, I'll just go with my 10 years, and you've been dealing with it longer than that. It's not an easy sell when it comes to city council, and it's not clearly defined in ordinance.
And so where are the ordinance amendments that Mr. Miller and Mr. Grimsley are responsible for bringing to council. I know we saw some last time in the up table, and that would be part of this committee is to continue looking at these
It was
ordinances.
always
and bring
talked
ordinance
to go
amendments
to ordinance
us.
committee.
And I'm not headhunting either one
No,
of you.
I'm
I
good with
understand Adam fights many battles in a day. He is the code inspector, he is the fire marshal, he's a man of many hats. Is it not a good idea to have a committee in hand to help him with part of his job, to bring amendments to him, to bring distressed properties to him?
An ordinance committee's great, because there's multiple ordinances that need to look at across the board, let alone,
Well,
this one here.
They're two of the motions on tonight's plate.
Right. I just want that clarity and that guidance. It's kind of like the kennel ordinance. Just give us that guidance of how the council wants to move
And this
when
is
it
my-
goes to the committee, and then we have kind of a structured way that we can move through there.
This is my attempt to give you that.
So this committee is going to provide guidance to them.
A sense, yes.
This committee would be conducting the hearings on dilapidated structures to either declare it dilapidated or not.
They would also be bringing ordinance amendments to the city council. They would serve.
Specifically to abatements and things like that, relevant statute, or relevant ordinances to abatements.
So that 2026-007 is going to address Mr. Miller's issues
Somewhat.
somewhat.
Sounds like there may need to be some internal processes. Okay, how are we gonna start bringing these to the committee?
And we can, if you want us to write the amendments, we'll write the amendments. If you want Drew to write the amendments, Drew can write the amendments. If you, we were working on amendments when Drew presented this to us, that he was getting it. They've got a lot to do. And it takes a lot of time to write these amendments, particularly if you don't have an attorney background.
Right.
And
I worked 2-3 days straight on this.
And to get them 2-3 days in amongst all their other responsibilities, or myself, it takes time. But that's why that first meeting we had, it was to get the general direction from the council. And that general direction we took out of it, and the way we started drafting the ordinances, was that it would basically have staff responsible for the tall weeds and trash, and junk around the property, and that the council wanted more consideration given to a committee that helps with dilapidated structure abatement. And we're working in the same direction. The jury just dedicated 3 straight days to it.
So I have no problem with the committee, helping make the decision whether something is truly considered dilapidated and being there for our citizens to listen to. I just want it made more than clear, I don't think that Adam needs.
I don't think
people
there's
calling
the
him
intent of
something
this is for them to go tell Adam how to do his job.
That's, I just,
Well,
that's.
and the reason why I based that was off the last council meeting. You were having a hard time making a motion.
Exactly.
And you didn't know whether to give him delegating authority, not delegate authority. And it went back about 3 times when I watched the Review-Courier's video, because I wasn't able to attend. So I went back and watched the whole video. And I was like, well, do we have authority? Do we not? That was the frustrating part that I got out of it.
Yeah.
Because you guys had conversation. You went away from it, you came back to it. You went away from it, you came back to it. And I was like, well, what are we doing?
Just so you know, we have a section currently on weeds and trash.
Yeah.
That's been delegated to the code inspector.
Right. And I'm just using that as a reference on the whole deal. I just want some clarification to move the direction that this council wants us to move, and we'll go get to work.
And the piece that I would like some clarity on is fines and fees.
Right. If we're gonna fine them and then abate them, do we do away with the fine? As Mr. Parsons has had a conversation
Yeah,
about.
I think that's.
So currently, there's nothing in our ordinances with fine for weeds and trash. Are you wanting?
I would at minimum like our ordinance to say that fines and fees will be established by resolution.
Yes, I would agree.
So 2026-007, is that gonna help you guys? I'm confused.
In a sense. I mean, it depends on what oversight that you want. with
Not
this.
as it's currently written.
As it's
Yeah.
currently written, yeah.
It still needs work.
I am a little bit concerned about having another committee subject to open meeting. Not that we're trying to hide anything, but to prepare agendas and get all of that done in a legal, proper fashion. That is also time consuming.
In looking at examples, I looked at Enid's, they give all this authority to their, I think they had it as their code official on both weeds and trash and dilapidated structures. Obviously, the dilapidated structure still requires a hearing. That would be just with the code official, but that subject's being appealed to the city council.
So if we approve this ordinance like this, we can update it.
I wouldn't recommend approving it because everybody's already discussed changes that I'm going to go work on. Wouldn't be any reason to approve it tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table item 11, 2026-007 to discuss and reopen after changes have been made.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Parsons. Please call the vote.
Bowman,
Yes.
Parsons,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Swan,
Yes.
Kuchenberg,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reed, do you have any more questions for us on like guidance and direction before we go spend 3 more days?
I think
Shooting in the dark, or are you good?
I've got some good direction to move forward with it. It may not be your.
Is the committee not just gonna add more hoops and all this?
Well, if you think about, like I said, I looked a lot at Enid's on this. They have a code official that's in charge of it, which adds a hoop of it can be appealed back to city council, so.
To me, a big part of the committee is like, there's a lot that needs to be put into this. Unless we want to have several 5-6 hour city council meetings, and I don't think that's the goal of anyone here. I mean, there's times where we need to, but if we could have a committee of people who are more experienced in the subject matter than some of us, I don't think it's a bad thing to have them help.
I think you'd also have to consider how many people are going to appeal it up to you. I don't know that they get that many appeals, so.
This is obviously my brainstorm, my attempt to help out in different avenues. So, one-on-one, anybody wants to talk, ask questions of where I would like to head with this, or give me input on where you would like to head with it, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to speak with this.
So at that comment, I did email you.
You did.
Okay.
It's been 110 degrees.
Okay, it's fine, okay. That's okay. I was gonna say, is there another way? I like keeping paper trails and stuff like this.
Right.
I can go back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've been going.
No, I get it.
nonstop.
It's back. I get it.
All right, so we will move along.
Mr. Mayor, is there a possibility to put 16 before the executive session? That's just more so I know that's.
Yeah.
Is that absolutely easy? Yeah, I think that's
16.
Yes, let's move to 16, remarks and inquiries by council members.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to provide more clarification upon my vote on the kennel ordinance. It was not in not supporting, anything in particular. It was purely, and I wasn't feeling real comfortable with the process. So I wasn't able to make that hearing. I didn't make it to that. So that was, would like to just provide clarification there for the public.
Well, and it was a planning commission deal, so really it wasn't a city council member.
No, it was, but,
I kind of ran the meeting for a minute just because the chairperson wasn't here, and so I kind of accidentally
just
sat
wanted
down
to
and
provide
read.
that clarification.
Anybody, any other remarks or inquiries by council members? All right.
On talking about that committee, you were talking about it being with Rick Brown, some church leaders and all that, looking to help these people with these dilapidated properties. And at the beginning, I was interested in being on that committee, but I this might sound terrible, but I have no desire to help the people with the dilapidated property. I want to help the people next to them that have been dealing with these things
Right.
for 20 years. Those houses need torn down.
Right. Well, and as I've stated, there's non-resident owners of some of these properties. People aren't even in the state.
Yes.
And with that, I'm fine with the way the process is, but there are some in town that people actually live in, that there's a problem. There's people that, different varying situations that I would like to see a committee be able to, I think a committee is a little more approachable to a person, some of these people with distressed properties, because most of them are having issues of sorts anyway, rather than step into City Hall in front of a room full of people, a table full of people sitting back here. I think that the interaction is, they're a little more, they don't feel the freedom to come in and talk, and I just think that it makes a little better interface for some of these citizens of town who honestly deserve as much representation as anybody else.
But if they're that bad and they're living in them, we're not looking to tear down their houses. We're looking at them cleaning up the trash and mowing their lawns, which takes as long as it does to come to a meeting. It's just not that hard.
For you, it's not.
That's true.
Is
But
it
there's
separate?
certain responsibilities that come with being a homeowner. There just is. It's kind of like driving a car. You gotta drive in your lane, not the other lane. That's the responsibility of driving. Just, if you're gonna own a home, you should take reasonable care of it. I'm not saying you gotta have a baseball lawn with the front yard.
Is it set right now that Adam can't even send a letter out
Adam sends the
Unless-
letters out.
unless there is a complaint
I want to go
first?
back to, because we're talking about item 11. If we really, I think we need to go back to that item,
So do I need to just announce
that
that?
we're going back to.
Okay, we're going to move back to item 11. Everybody.
Nice try, Greg, we're back.
Or is it my fault?
Yeah, that's fine. Does there have to be a complaint before Adam can send a letter? No.
No, but that's the way they operate now, is by complaint only. Am I correct in that?
That's correct.
And that's part of what Adam would like, is some direction on like, are we just gonna stick with complaint only, or can I attack some of these properties that are out there that we see, we've been driving by for 25
That's
years,
what
but
I
I have no authority to do anything about it, because we're just operating on
But he
complaint.
does, and it's in the ordinance already that he
But I
can.
Yeah, he can, but then it comes to us and everyone's like, I don't know, it's been there 25 years, what's it hurt? Nah. And then we kick it back out the door. That's what the council's been doing for 10, 15, 20 years. You know, so I think that's what he's asking is not only can he go out and say this property's got an issue, but can we define some rules and some guidelines on what the council's gonna do to hold us accountable to stick to it, so that it's not just kind of we come in and just wing it every time a property comes in. I think that's what he's asking. Is that,
And the reason why we do it by complaint, just to clarify, we get enough complaints that come in that keeps us busy enough, as it is. We'd love to go out, but we have to, what's the word? We have to take care of the property in a reasonable amount of time after we do it. And so we utilize our road crew right now. They got a large responsibility during the summertime mowing all the right of ways. So if we don't have the staff, we overload our staff, and we don't take care of that property in a reasonable amount of time, then we're not following our own ordinance as it is.
Is there any reason we can't use the prison? Just
They
sitting
can't
there.
do it on private property.
Yeah.
Let me ask a legal question. If this committee is put into place and then does not work, can it be dissolved?
Yeah. I mean, I think we would change the ordinance to say, whether it's you're giving it to your administrative official, or one of these two, or your council wants to be the ones deciding that. Just be an amendment to, kind of like we're discussing on this thing.
well, what's a reasonable amount of houses we could actually actually gonna go in and say, we're tearing down X amount of houses, what's a reasonable amount we could do? So we can give them guidance on,
By
Depends on
the
city
time we work
finances.
through the summer, we're tearing them down in the winter.
you know,
You know, we have to.
They run $10,000-15,000 to tear down, don't they?
The city's able to do it at a highly reduced cost by using its own equipment and manpower, because we can only use actual cost. We can't inflate it, we're not here to make money on the whole deal, so when we use our city employees, and our city equipment, we can only charge for what we spend. So, versus a company that does it for a living, like Jackson's out of Enid, you know, it's like $12,000 to $15,000 a house. They come in, tear it down, haul it off, clean it up. We're using city employees, city equipment, so we reduce that cost.
But now is it not slated as FEMA rates? Do we not charge FEMA rates per?
We haven't set that, that's kind of
It's not
what
set
Kelly,
in ordinance, we decided that for 3 or 4 properties.
yeah. We don't have anything to, by ordinance to go by, so.
And that was decided by council for those 3 or 4 properties. And it was only for the use of certain pieces of equipment for which we don't have a cost associated with it.
So is FEMA price competitive?
Oh, I think it's reasonable, within like rentable rates of equipment, is kind of how it's set.
Well, see, wasn't this committee's, my thoughts were that it was, to have the committee was to keep him from being the most hated man in Alva. That, you know, there's other people that feel the same way he does about their property. It's not just him, is the plus I see on it. You know, if somebody comes to me and says, you got to tear down your house because it's a piece of crap, and I don't think it is, if I've got another group of people says, yeah, your house is a piece of crap and it needs to be torn down, it doesn't make him totally the ugly guy.
So what we would,
It's his job to be the ugly guy.
I get that,
It's not
I've
about
heard that.
there's a legal standard for what's dilapidated.
Right. And so what they've been operating on right now is state statute. And this, on the dilapidated structure part of this ordinance, it mirrors state statute. That has to go up to the council unless you designated somebody, either an administrative officer, just one person, or an administrative body to have that power to declare things dilapidated. We don't have an ordinance on dilapidated structures, so everything, when it's time for the hearing, goes to you guys.
And there's a reason there's a city council and not just a mayor, because omnipotent power in government is not a great thing to have. That's why you divide it out into a body of members so that you have non-omnipotency. Is that what
If I can,
I just think right now we're kind of proving how ineffective the committee is at this exact moment. We can't even decide on how we should go about doing this, and now we're gonna put another committee on top of us that knows, I mean, that's gonna argue too, and then eventually, I mean, I think Adam should just be cut loose to do his job, and in the letters that we send out, we specifically state you can't appeal at the city council if you don't like what's been decided, and then you can also put in said letter that here's our group members that we have that could potentially help you with assistance in cleaning up your property. Feel free to reach out to them. That lets him do his job. It also gives them an avenue to come to council or a standing committee that can be put together if they want to appeal. Otherwise, Adam just does his job, and the committee's only by request. That's 100%. Because we're proving why the committee's not going to work right now tonight, sitting here, arguing.
from my standpoint, I'd love to write it that way. I mean, that would be my preference. I know that's not the same as what the mayor wishes, but that, I think, is an efficient way of getting it accomplished. We set the standards for what everybody has to follow. because on this particular issue, it's come up multiple times over the year, and we've never changed that ordinance. As we get into a room like this,
Yeah, and I've been sitting here for 5 years, Greg's been here longer, Gil's been here longer than me, and we've had house after house come in that we do nothing with. They just, like, well, here it comes, and then back out the door it goes, and 5 years later, the house is still sitting there, and I was like, we dilapidated this house 5 years ago, what do you want me to do with it? You know, and that's kind of my problem, you know, I mean, we're just not doing anything.
So if we say a house is supposed to be shut down, is there not a time limit on that? Brian?
It's up to us to clear the funds.
Yeah, it's up to the council. We bring it to you, I mean.
But if we say the house needs to be tore down, it's gonna be tore down, is there a time limit on that?
It says a reasonable amount of time. That's where I would go to Drew and say, hey, or our legal counsel and say, what is that a reasonable amount of time? There's a couple court of civil appeals cases against some other towns that I read, and it said 30 business days, 6 weeks.
there again, if I can go back to some of these prior conversations in this council chambers, sometimes the council has said 45 days. Sometimes the council has said it's this many days, but if they've made this much progress, then give them some more time. How much more time? Well, let's see what they do. And it's gone, that's how it's gone. It's not, it doesn't ever bring itself to resolution, except if somebody's just completely absent from the conversation.
That's when the people come into my office and vent their frustrations, because they don't feel like we're doing anything. And I honestly, if I'm not gonna lie, I said, reach out to your council members. That's what's holding us up.
And the council has had the authority to act in every way that it has acted up to this point, because it is not defined in our ordinance. And it does not go against state statute. Some of the rules we have to set are to govern ourselves as much as it is to help the staff do their job.
Well, I gotta tell you, dilapidated and ugly properties is probably what I hear about most from people.
It's up there.
It's way up there. So we need to do something and quit kicking the can down the road.
And I'm fine with refining our process too, having those groups that we can let them know are available, they can reach out to. I'm fine with refining the process of being specific where we want Adam looking first. You know, not just driving through any old neighborhood and saying, I don't like old Joe there, I'm gonna dilapidate his property. But, okay, let's start with the boulevard, let's start with the key places in town to get the most traffic, the most views, and we can kind of have a process of how we work throughout the town, and then also factoring in complaints of properties regardless of where they were. If this property's got 30 complaints this year because there's literally skunks and deer living in the house, then that's probably a problem. So we could refine our guidelines for how Adam goes about his job and help him to feel comfortable in what he's doing.
There's work we can do on both sides, but each has to kind of depend on the other.
Into discussion?
I don't think we got anywhere.
Well, I'm gonna be a party pooper. We're gonna move right into executive session.
Hold up, I still have an inquiry. We got city economics that's been here, and I don't want him to waste his time. I don't know when he was gonna talk. It's usually during staff, Kelly usually gives him his time, but we skip that. I don't want him to waste a 3-hour trip down here for nothing. So,
I'm okay.
you sure?
I'm fine.
Okay,
I appreciate you.
I do
Give me
have,
a Brahms.
I'm working on it, bro. Working. Two other things too.
That's all, that's all, I don't want to be wasting a trip. If he's fine, then
Yeah, I'm
it's
good.
fine. Okay.
He just came to listen to us argue.
There you go.
I missed it.
Okay. All right, I'm done. That's all I had. Yeah, notice back there.
I actually didn't see you come in.
That's fine.
I probably walked right past you.
That's all right. I don't miss this, guys. Thanks for doing it. Served a lot of years.
All right, number 12, discussion and action to enter into executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307 B2 to discuss FY 27 City of Alva and IAFF Local 3782 negotiations. Is there any discussion? I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to enter into executive session.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bowman, second by Mr. Hoffman. Please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Rutenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
We need a gavel. I needed a gavel too sometime.
I just start beating my head on the wall. Number 14, action regarding the FY 27 City of Alva and IAFF Local 3782 contract.
There's no action.
There is no action to be taken. We've done no, we haven't done. Is there any new business?
I do want to ask the question, I guess, and I don't know if either of the attorneys in the room would need time to research it, but we did get a resignation from the airport board that was after the agenda was posted. There is someone that the mayor is interested in appointing that is agreeable to be appointed. Our next city council meeting is not until after the next airport board meeting. Would that constitute new business?
So you got the resignation
This
of this morning, so after this was posted, and you're wanting to go ahead and make a recommendation for to appoint a new member, that would be up for vote.
Put it up to council vote, yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was business that wasn't known at the time the agenda was posted, so yeah, I think that'd fall under new business.
All right, so the new business I have is John Weebner resigned from the airport board. I reached out to a couple of people on the airport board. They suggested Bruce Pappin, who's been a pilot out there, owns a hangar out there, active pilot for 30-some years. I called Bruce. Bruce said he would absolutely be happy to serve on the airport board, and that is who I would like to appoint. So I would, I guess, entertain a motion to appoint Bruce.
And I will tell you that the last time there was an appointment to the airport board, Bruce was in the running then as well.
I'll make a motion to appoint, or
Bruce
for the
Pappin.
mayor to appoint Bruce Pappin to the airport board.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Krickenberg, second by Mr. Bowman. Please call the vote.
Rutenberg.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Thank you all. Are there any further remarks or inquiries by council members? Just because we're passing over it again? Nope, all right. This meeting is adjourned. We'll move on to the next one. All right, I'd like to call the regular Alva Utility Authority meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Hoffman.
Here.
Lahr.
Here.
Rutenberg.
Here.
Swallow.
Here.
Bowman.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Ferris.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Number 3, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature normally approved at AUA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 20th, 2026. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting of July 27th, 2026. Approval of the minutes of the special meeting of July 30th. Approval of claims in the amount of $181,786.42 and payroll expenses of $28,710.75. E, acknowledge receipt of DEQ permit number WL000076260523 for the construction water service infrastructure to serve the Avard Regional Rail Park Authority, Woods County, Oklahoma. F, acknowledge receipt of DEQ permit number SL000076260522 for the construction sanitary sewer infrastructure to serve the Avard Regional Rail Park Authority, Woods County, Oklahoma. G, approval of change order number 1, ODOT project, water line relocation along Highway 281 south of Alva, an increase of $253,689.50. H, approval of change order number 1, ODOT project sewer main relocation along Highway 281 south of Alva, an increase of $211,589.08. And that's it. Is there any discussion?
I will say G and H, those items with the change orders for the ODOT projects, those are ODOT funded. So those are not costing the city of Alva.
I don't know if I want to remove it, but the sewer line from the rail park, they're hooked on to city sewer all the way out there.
No, that project is, they built a lagoon that we will manage for them.
Sits back in the west side of
I thought
halfway.
I've seen something built back there. And we're going to manage it for them.
We're going to manage it and do the billing.
Oh.
So they'll pay us for managing? Or are they paying us to manage it, or we're just managing?
We're like billing them sewer just
If,
like.
if people use it, we'll bill them for it.
Gotcha, okay.
That was my only question. I thought we were pumping it all the way north hours. All the way.
So I would accept the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Hoffman, second by Mr. Lahr. Please call the vote.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Swallow. Yes. Kuchenberg.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes. All right, passed. Number 5, discussion and action to approve OWRB REAP Resolution 2026-012 for grant applications for repairs on Valley View Road and insertion valves throughout the city.
It should be throughout, yes.
Okay.
I didn't have my executive assistant clerk to help me with the agenda, but the OWRB REAP is something that we haven't applied for in several years. I don't know the last time we applied for it, if I'm being honest. But in order to apply for it, we do need to approve the resolution that's in the packet. The project is not inside the, some of it is inside the city limits, but the project is run direct, or the funding is run directly through OWRB, but it is part of our water distribution system. The line at Valley View has been something that I've been trying to find a grant for several years now. It's something that when you look at their poverty level and stuff like that, that comes into consideration with the other grants that would have been applicable. They just don't need it.
Where's Valley View?
Valley View is west of the cemetery.
Jesse Jones's Street.
Jesse Jones,
Mapes'
Robert Jacobek, Mapes. It's about 600 feet of line. It's got a fire plug down there that's on a 4-inch line that we have to, frequently go down and open that line to get the sediment out of the line so that they have, well, they still don't even have good water to drink. And so it's probably the worst water in town. And it's not, it's the worst water on our system. It's not in town, but this would allow us to get that taken care of. There would be fire protection after this is completed, adequate fire protection when this is completed. But the other part of that is insertion valves. We do have a grant to purchase an insertion valve machine, which what that does is it allows us to take a hot line that we can't shut off otherwise and put a valve in it. If you worked in natural gas stuff, I mean, it's common there. But anyway, it allows us to be able to turn off the line so that we can do repairs instead of having to work lines hot, which is what we have to do a lot of times. This would fund a number of valves throughout the rest of the city in strategic locations to be able to have that capacity, which allows us to then self-perform some repairs which we may have otherwise had to hire a contractor. So those are the projects associated with this grant. Resolution says that we're going to apply for this grant for that project. Does not say that we're going to be awarded it. But.
Any further discussion? I'd entertain a motion, please.
I'll motion to approve item 5 as stated in the agenda.
Second.
I'll say.
Motion by Mr. Lahr, second by Mr. Hoffman. Please call the vote.
Lahr.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Krukenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Parson.
Yes.
Number 5 passed. Number 6, discussion and action to approve City of Alva Resolution 2026-013, a resolution of the Alva City Council amending the FY 2026 annual budget for the Alva Utility Authority. Is there any discussion
Same explanation as I gave in City Council.
on the regular meeting? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-013 as stated in the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bowman. Who seconded that? James? Second by Mr. Hoffman. Please call the vote.
Bowman.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Ferris.
Yes.
Krukenberg.
Yes.
Swallow.
Yes.
Number 6 passed. Is there any new business? None for that? All right, the meeting of the Alva Utility Authority is adjourned. And on to the regular Alva Economic Development Authority meeting. I'd like to call that meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Hoffman.
Here.
Lahr. Krukenberg.
Here.
Swallow.
Here.
Bowman.
Here.
Parsons.
Here.
Ferris.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Number 3, discussion and action on the consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of routine nature normally approved at AEDA meetings will be approved by one vote of the authority. Any trustee desiring to discuss an item on the consent agenda may request that it be removed from the consent agenda and placed for discussion as the next item on the regular agenda. It will then be considered separately. The consent agenda consists of the consideration and action on the following items. A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 20th, 2026. B, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of July 30th, 2026. C, approval of claims in the amount of $52,285.81 and payroll expenses of $41,945.13. Is there any discussion? I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Hoffman and a second by Mr. Krukenberg. Please call the vote.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Krukenberg.
Yes.
Lahr.
Yes.
Swallow. Ferris.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Bowman.
Number 5, discussion and action to approve City of Alva Resolution 2026-014, a resolution of the Alva City Council amending the FY 2026 annual budget for the Alva Economic Development Authority.
Should that say a resolution of the Alva Economic Development Authority?
It should say that.
But I think it says Alva City.
It's a,
I think someone's gonna make a motion to correct that.
a motion to flog the person that created the title. He can assign it to his successors. I'll entertain a motion.
And it's not a city of Alva resolution up there on.
So do we need to redo it? I need to re-say it?
Now, you read the agenda item as it was stated. I think if someone's gonna make a motion, just correct it to the Alva Economic Development Authority or AEDA.
Where it says City of Alva resolution, it just needs to say Alva Economic Development.
Yes.
There's 2 places in there that says city council. Just correct that.
I'll motion to approve the Alva Economic Development Authority Resolution 2026-014, a resolution of the Alva Economic Development Authority amending the FY 2026 annual budget for the Alva Economic Development Authority.
Second.
All right, motion by Mr. Lahr, second by Mr. Hoffman. Please call the vote.
Lahr.
Yes.
Hoffman.
Yes.
Rutenberg.
Yep.
Swallow.
Yes.
Barris.
Yes.
Parsons.
Yes.
Bowman.
Is there any new business? Nope. This meeting's adjourned.